Dylan,
Hayden.
I know you're the lead anchor, and obviously this is your podcast, and
Correct.
people are here to see you, and
Correct.
you're the coolest. And I know all that,
Good.
but I was just wondering, we're coming up to 25 episodes, and I was wondering if I could maybe be the lead anchor for today. So it's fine. If not, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It was a joke.
It was just joking.
I'm just joking.
Honestly, I thought for a minute that you actually wanted to. You know what? I think we should do it. Why not? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, I was only like being. Do you actually think?
Let's find out, shall we? There's only one way to find out. Off you go, pal.
Okay. Cheers, man. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. This is episode 24. My name is Hayden.
And my name is Dylan.
Hey, and we've switched our roles today. I'm the lead anchor, so Dylan doesn't really know much about this podcast. He has got a couple of his own notes, but guess who's in charge? This guy. So if it's your favourite episode, make sure you let us know. I need to knock him down a peg or two. And let's get going. So Dylan, it's the end of term. It's the start of the summer holidays. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been fine. I mean, I love how you start. I need to knock him down a peg or two. That's a lovely way to start a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. He's so abrupt, isn't he, guys? If you think so, obviously, again, just write in, let us know. He's a real mean anchor, isn't he? He puts me down all the time. So today, I'm rising to the top. I'm taking control.
I'm already learning so much already. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been fun. As everyone knows, it is the summer holidays, and I don't know, the first week of the summer holidays, always, I had a bit of a discussion on Threads, on our new social media platform. Just asked a simple question. What's the first week of summer holidays like for you if you work in a school? And the overwhelming response was, it's just a write-off. And that's what it's like for me. It just is a bit of a write-off. You do all your admin-y stuff that you try to get done in like a half term when you just have 1 week. And then you really hope to kind of get into some relaxing when you get to, week 2, 3, 4. I think that's like the Goldilocks zone of some holidays, but still in that zone of just letting the body relax after a really intense term. So not too much really. One other thing I was going to say, obviously, when you're an adult, you have to do a lot of adult admin stuff. We've talked about this loads on the podcast, how we've grown up and we absolutely hate that side of being an adult. It's cool that we can eat whatever we want. I could go and eat a Twix at 10 a.m. That's nice. But I have to sort out, insurance and things like that. And I've just noticed something, and I think it's since COVID, and it really winds me up, is whenever you call anyone, any kind of call center, it's always busier than normal. You find that really weird? You ring them up and they're like, hello, we're just experiencing more calls on average at the current moment. It could just... averages don't work like that. It can't always be more than the average. That's not how it works. Never ever ring them up and go, actually, yeah, we're free right now. We've got 3 people. Do you want to jump on a Zoom call and have a whole conversation? It's never like that. Always above average.
They've just got to set low expectations, haven't they? I reckon the psychology there is if you go in with low expectations, it can't be any worse than what they just held on the phone. And if they're there quicker, then you're like, oh, that's brilliant. That's good. That's good news. I only waited 3 minutes, when realistically, waiting 3 minutes is annoying. I
get that, but don't lie. Don't lie and say we're experiencing... Since when can companies just lie? Like, hello, I'm Tesco, and normally this shopping would cost £750, but today it's just 10 quid for you. That's just a lie. It might feel good, but you can't just lie to me. It's really annoying.
I got absolutely played earlier today on one of those kind of... Just like I was calling a big company, I was calling DHL to try and track a parcel, which I'm not going to go into because I'll get angry. But you know the situation. But the interesting bit here is, on DHL... it gives you options like press 1 if you want to do this, press 2 if you want to track your parcel. I was like, no, I just want to speak to someone. They don't want you to speak to someone. It's just, they don't want you to do that. It's always hard. I don't know if you've noticed that in general. It's hard to get the contact number for any business now to actually just speak to a human being. Anyway, that's what I wanted to do because it was quite a unique case. And so I went to wait for the last option, which is, or press 7 if you want to speak, if it's something else. Okay, I pressed 7. And then it went through another list of stuff. That was like the other stuff. I'm like, okay, why couldn't this just been in the list? But okay. And it was like, press 1 if you're something else is this. Press 2. And I was like, for God's sake. And it got to another one. And then it said, and press 4 if you want to speak to an advisor. I was like, cool, there we go. I swear down, it went to another list. And on this list, it re-said some of the things earlier. It's like, okay, so tell me if you want to speak to an advisor about tracking a package. And I was like, that's kind of what I want to do, I guess. But I do need to speak to someone. So I press that one, circle me back round to the first one of like the automated track your package thing. And I was like, oh my God, because I'd already rung them once before and tried the first option of track your package and realized that's not going to get me where I want. And I just spent like 10 minutes on this automated service just trying to speak to a human being about what's happening.
Did you ever get through to a human being?
I did. And then they didn't seem to be able to hear me, or I couldn't hear them, and then they just hung up after like 3 seconds.
Oh my
God!
God!
Oh my
Does
God.
that happen to you? That happens to. I want the listeners have this happen to them as well, where it feels sometimes like they just do it on purpose, and I'm sure they don't. I'm sure there's some call workers out there who are just as frustrated as we are. But it's so you spend 15 minutes, and then the call comes off for some reason, and they're like, hello, sorry, can't hear you.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my
you
God.
you can't get back to them. It's not like they've got an extension where you can just be like, oh, just redial that. No, you'll get to someone else.
It's fine.
And be like, oh, I just got cut off.
It's fine because we can just listen to the menu again and dial in 754 if you want to find out where your mouse has gone from your tracking.
Yeah. Yes. Oh God, I'm not even going to tell the story genuinely about the missing.
A computer mouse. Can I just
That's
ask?
for another time.
There's no wildlife being exchanged here.
No, we should have left that for the imagination.
But anyway, in general,
so,
that's been my week. The start of the summer holidays. For me, rest and reset, and then relax. I can't relax yet. I just coming off the end of the term. But how about you, Hayden? How was your week, pal?
Oh yeah, it was exactly the same really as you in terms of like just that winding down, but not quite because I'm still getting some work done. But I've got a quick story from the end of the week. I saw my year sixes off last week because obviously it's a bit different for them. They're going to a new school and all that. But one thing happened that I want to see if this is the same for you because I've noticed this a lot in my career and I've never actually mentioned it before. But have you ever noticed that kids, like especially at the end of the year, might want to just make you something kind of like impromptu last minute. They just want to like make you a little card or draw you a little picture or something like that, or write you a note. And they're notoriously terrible at hiding it. Like you'll be walking around the classroom, and then as you're right over them like this, looking at that moment, they'll be like, "Oh, nothing," and I'm like, and then I always pretend that I haven't seen it. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation.
No, I ruin it for them. I tell them I've seen it. It's rubbish. Don't bother. Don't finish it.
Can you imagine? Oh, so I did that thing, and I saw these two girls were writing a note, just like a little letter, and it was really sweet. One girl was asking another girl, because she has nicer handwriting, to help her write it, because she really wanted it to be presented lovely. It was sweet. She came and showed me the letter, and it was lovely. And then I saw the other girl, the one that helped her write it, so it wasn't actually from her. She then had a bit of paper, and I was thinking, okay, she's caught wind. She wants to do something now, because I've just given a nice bit of praise to this other kid. Like, we've had a nice moment. So I sort of like pretended again. I didn't see her. I'm walking around the classroom. Oh, that's good over there. Yeah, avoiding them. And then eventually they come over, fully anticipating a nice little note from this girl. And she comes up to me and she just produces me this picture. And again, if you're listening, we'll make sure this is on our Instagram. In fact, Dylan already posted this, but it's also on screen right now. And she just posted me this picture. Just gave me that folded up, as you can see from the creases. I'll keep
the whole episode.
Keep it there.
The whole episode.
Bit longer.
It's
okay.
It's much better
in fact,
view.
I can probably line it up just over my head. Hang on.
Yeah, it was perfect. There you go.
There we are. That's me. Heyo.
Can I just ask quickly? Is this? Have you by any chance been doing Frida Kahlo recently in class?
Well, earlier in the year we did. Yeah.
There you go.
Funny enough. But it just gave me this.
It looks like the love child of Frida Kahlo and Humpty Dumpty.
It does. Is it what, me or the picture?
It's the love child of Frida Kahlo, Humpty Dumpty, and you, and no one knows who the dad is. It's someone.
So it was another case of lowering your expectations a bit, because I thought it was going to be a nice note, and she just drew this hilarious picture of me, which I've kept, and it made me laugh quite a bit. I know you've shared it on our Instagram along with some other pictures that children have drawn. Another favourite of mine being the big yellow faced man. Check it out on our Instagram. So yeah, my week, it was a nice end of the school year week, I guess. The children were suitably upset, as they always are, bless them. But they'll be fine. It's part, it's part of a...
We spoke about it, didn't we?
Part of the journey.
It's that, that idea of transition where it's our job to make sure that they feel those emotions of being sad, and, it's not nice to move on from somewhere, but hopefully also a good dose of excitement and anticipation, because it'll be good for them.
Speaking of moving on, as the lead anchor, I'm now going to move us on to the next segment. Do you like how I did that?
It was seamless. It was seamless. Yeah? Well done.
Lived up to your expectations.
No,
bottom anchor. That's your name today.
Brilliant.
bottom anchor.
What anchor? A bottom anchor. Sorry, I'm just going to come in there because I'm the bottom anchor. Bottom anchor to me sounds like an anchor doing its job. That's where an anchor should be. Where are you?
I suppose so. Yeah. See what I'm talking about, guys. This is what he does. I've got to bring him down a peg. I've got to bring him down. So Dylan and I last week at the end of once the kids had all gone home, basically on the Friday, we hosted a staff quiz. Something we like to do. We've been asked a few times to just put one on, just to try and bring everyone together. Because as you know, probably from your schools, after COVID particularly, it was, I don't know, people are just a bit more distant, right? It's harder to get people together. Everyone's working, it's a job at the end of the day. People are working hard, they're going home. And our SLT just wanted us to come together and do something nice as a staff team. So we had a barbecue and then we put on a quiz. And Dylan, I want to go through because there were some funny moments in that quiz. And there was a particular round I've got in mind. And I'm sure you've guessed it already, Dylan. Not the guys at home, that would be weird. That the round I want to talk about is a family fortunes round that we did with our staff team. Dylan, could you give a little bit of context? Because it did kind of come from you, or at least someone gave you this idea, and just explain how the round worked.
Yeah, sure. So 1 out of 2 of us actually put some work into this podcast, and I run all our social media. So I asked some people, I said, because we've done this quiz thing for a few years now, it's become a thing in our school. We tend to do 1 or 2 a year, Christmas or end of year. So it's become a thing, and the same people, again, we felt like it was drying up a bit, didn't we, Hayden? Like, although it's cool and it's funny, there's only so many times you can do the same kind of rounds with the same people, and we just wanted to spice it up a bit. So we just asked on social media, have you done an end of year quiz, as a school, as a teacher, and some interesting quiz rounds? And there were so many cool ideas, but one that really jumped out was Family Fortunes. So anyone who's not seen Family Fortunes, it's a UK TV staple from the 90s. It's a game show where you simply do a survey of 100 people, and then you ask someone that question, and you need to try and find the most said answer. For example, it could be, name something you have in a full English breakfast. And then Hayden, you might say,
sausages.
Yeah, exactly. And it might say, okay, 26 people said sausage, and it's the second answer. But the aim is always to get the highest answer possible. Maybe bacon was like 38 or something. So that's Family Fortunes. But we actually said, okay, let's do it, but let's do it with real data. So we went out during our lunch times, during our break times, and we made slips of paper with 10, 12 questions on it. And we just asked the children to fill it in. Simple as that. And we did a round with our staff where we would ask them the question. We asked 50 children, what's something that might annoy their teacher or something like that. And we got some of the answers. And I'm sure you can already tell if you're a teacher or a parent of young children, some of the answers were hilarious. But Hayden, I assume you want to go through some of them.
Yeah, well, let's start there. So I've picked out a few of our favorite questions. Okay, I'm not doing all 10 or 12. That would just take forever. So if you want to play along at home and just have a bit of a laugh, especially if you're a teacher, you might be able to.
I was as my lead anchor, like mindset came in there, like, Hayden, we can't do it for half an hour.
Yeah, I've again another tick there. Thanks for that interruption. So if you want to play along at home, because you think you could guess the answers, then yeah, just do so. A bit of a laugh. I'll share with you the top 5. So the first question I'm going to share with you, and Dylan, feel free to jump in if you remember anything.
Hayden, you don't need to tell me to jump in. I just do it anyway.
Oh yeah, of course. You'll just do that. Yeah. So we asked 50 children at our school to name something that annoys your teacher. So if you want to play along, then yeah, just have a go. See if you can get the top answer. So 2 points, bang you on the table. 3 points, not listening. This one, interesting. 4 points, 4 children put talk about his bald head. So you can tell that, or maybe we were going around doing the survey for this one. 10 points for shouting out, and in first place, 20 points, talking. Kids know, don't they? They just know. Talking whilst the teacher's talking or whatever. Oh, it's very frustrating.
I've got to say, there was obviously in each round, the ones outside the top 5 didn't make the cut. And a few honourable mentions for that one. Carrot. Yeah. Don't know if someone got the wrong box. So name something that'll annoy a teacher. Carrot. Or there's a teacher out there who needs to tell us a story involving a carrot. I don't know what on earth happened. And the other one, putting a snake in their face. Again, we didn't want to raise it with any of our staff. I mean, I don't know what happened that day. But don't go around putting the snake in the face of your staff.
One that made me laugh, and I know it's innocent because it was someone in my class that did it just to try and make me laugh. Just wrote on theirs in front of me. Just looked at me. Being myself. I was like, oi, come on, I'm not that mean. But yeah, that made me laugh as well. So next question. We asked 50 children to name the most famous person in the world.
This is a good one because I always think to myself, who do they like? And this got a lot of answers, didn't it? This got a lot of different answers.
A lot of different answers, and the teachers definitely found this one the hardest as well. I don't think we had many points for this. So here we go. You might not be surprised to hear. Coming in 5th place here is Mr. Beast, 3 points for that one. The next one was me, as in not me, but the children wrote me, so themselves, for 3 points. 3 children wrote themselves, the most famous person in the world. Mr. Price. So Dylan, 6 points.
Third most famous person
I
in the world.
I will say though, Mr. Stevens, as in me, 7 points. So most popular. That's why I'm the lead anchor today. And in first place, with only 1 more point though, Elon Musk.
Whoa! And you are nearly as famous as him. So I thought the kids did really well there.
Yeah, Mr. Price, Mr. Stevens, Elon Musk, all 1 point between them. Pretty good.
Hayden, I want to know, because there's so many answers. Were there any other funny responses?
Were there, Dylan? My favourite response to this, and it genuinely cracked me up to name the most famous person in the world, was, a child wrote this, the designated safeguarding leads. And I found that so funny because at our school, we make it really apparent to the children that, and it is important this, I'm not taking it away, they need to know who the safeguarding leads are in the school. It's important that children feel safe and they know who to speak to. But clearly we've been drilling it a lot so they know who they are. We've got posters everywhere. Most famous person in the world, them.
I just love the idea. The kids sitting there thinking, it's either King Charles or the designated safeguarding leads. I'm going to go for that one.
Well, there's 27 posters of them around. There's only one of King Charles, so probably that one. Although someone else did also put the same thought process there. They put my dad. Just right, my dad. Definitely. So that's quite sweet.
Well, they see him the most probably out of everyone, so why not?
Yeah. Right. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I'd love to do the next one because I've got this up now. So we asked 50 children, what is the most common thing to go missing from a classroom? Okay. What is the most common thing to go missing from a classroom? And we had loads of answers to this one. In at number 5, Mr. Stevens' hair.
Do you reckon?
One child.
It was that kid.
It must have been
the same one that drew this picture.
I just love the idea of always goes missing. Like sometimes you have it. I was like, where's that hair? Where's that hair gone? Is it under your desk?
Yeah.
Come on, get his hair ready. In at number 4, pencils with 2 people. Not wrong. In at number 3, scissors. 8. Again, any primary school teacher, we know the pain of handing out scissors, and there's just 7 that have gone missing somewhere, and we don't know where. Number 2 was pens with 15. How many children at the start of a lesson, after you're 10 minutes in, you're like, right, kids, let's write the date and what? And they're like, I haven't got a pen. So what have you been doing for 10 minutes? Yeah. So again, made sense. Number 1.
I'll tell you what, before you say number 1, I'm going to interrupt you here. I bet this is the biggest divide ever between teachers and non-teachers, because I reckon teachers could be screaming at this podcast right now, knowing what this is going to be. And if you're not a teacher, you're probably thinking, I don't know, would have been one of the other ones, right? Go on.
Yeah, exactly that. Glue sticks or glue lids. Like the kids, 21 out of 50 said that straight. And when I was watching them write it down, I remember because a few were in my class and they just went, glue, like looked at me like with like daggers, like you never give us enough glue sticks. Yeah. And this really hits home as a teacher. Glue sticks and lids. Where do they go?
The lids, man. Oh, it's the bane of my life. I don't know about you, but I keep a pot. Well, I try to. It was always empty because they're constantly being taken. But I try to keep a pot of glue lids. So when someone goes to throw a glue away, I'm like, whoa, don't throw the lid. Give me that lid, because someone always loses a glue lid, and you find a glue with no lid on it. Anyway, last one. Should we go through it?
Let's do it. Right, last one, because this is one I really want you to play along at home. Okay, because we really did genuinely ask them this.
This is funny. So we asked 50 children at our school to name a country in Europe other than the United Kingdom.
Key part. Other than the United Kingdom.
Other than the United Kingdom. So coming in 5th place with 2 points, USA. Classic European country. This was even better. 4th place, 3 children decided to put Britain.
Now, can you
other
imagine,
than the UK?
Can you imagine at this point the face of the geography lead in our school?
Yeah, they got fired. So coming in 3rd place, Italy. 6 points.
Strong answer. Well done, you 6. Great.
Yep. 9 people for 2nd place, but Spain.
Good. This is hotting up, Hayden. I mean, what came top?
Okay. We rehired the geography lead at this point. And top here, name a country in Europe other than the United Kingdom. 10 children for 1st place wrote Scotland. It was, it's like, it's nearly there, isn't it?
It's not. It's not remotely nearly there, actually. But apart from that, apart from the very key part, apart from UK, I did think about this though. After I thought, it's because we live in the UK that we kind of just ignore how ridiculous our country is. Like, what? Of course, the children get confused because we live in England, which is a country when they watch football and sport and things like that. And then we talk about it like it's a country because England is a country, but actually the United Kingdom is the country and there's only one parliament. But actually, no, there's a parliament in Scotland who make rules for Scotland for some things and in Wales for some. Like, what? What's going on?
It's mad. I'll tell you what, you never know as well. If you're listening to this episode in the future, Scotland might be a really good answer.
That's such a good point.
Hey, you never know.
Nicola Sturgeon's there like, oh, you wait, boys. Maybe not her. Hasn't she been arrested or something? I don't know.
Well, anyway. I don't know. But it's like a Simpsons episode. We've predicted the future. There were a couple of honourable mentions, though. I know you'll want to read these because I remember how much it made you laugh. So go on, Dylan.
No, it just really did make me laugh. We're going to read some other questions. So one thing, we're a church school, obviously. So one of the questions was, name someone from the Bible other than Jesus. Right? And two separate children must have been taught this recently. They wrote, just think for a second, the Bible, just all the people in the Bible that you could possibly write down. And two people wrote the white dove.
First thought that came to their mind. I respect it.
We also had. Do you remember when I said, I think it was, how do you annoy your teacher? And someone wrote down carrot.
Yeah.
We also asked them to name a Halloween costume, and one person also put carrot. I think something's going on with a carrot with this kid.
Did they write carrot on all of it? Any chance?
We look across it, it's just one for carrot in every single column. But there was one that really made me laugh, and I don't know why, because it was just so silly. But one of the questions was, name a word that rhymes with go. And someone wrote down, being nice.
The top answer, by the way, was no. Like most children put no, right? It was like half the kids put that.
It was literally half the children put no, and then nice. One kid's put being nice. Like it's not even a word. Like no, it's a phrase.
And it didn't even answer any of the other questions, so it's not like they just wrote it in the wrong place.
Wrong box.
Oh, I've got one before you come back in, just because I never mentioned it and I just remembered it. It was name a country in Europe other than the UK. Someone wrote North Macedonia. I just thought it was so bizarre of all the countries they could afford. North Macedonia.
But like unbelievably correct and like a really good answer. Yeah. It's like how did you not go to like Spain in your head first? But no, that was great. And I think there's just a couple other little things. Like we asked them what's their least favorite vegetable, and someone said a pear, and I was just like, cool, it's got a solid start.
We've just exposed our school here, haven't we?
Because we did have one question at the end, didn't we? Which was linked to that designated safeguarding leads, because we thought, we'll just ask them. Whilst we're asking the kids questions, we'll do like a kind of like a joke, but also a mini pupil voice, because we have had such a push lately to see if the children would be able to say and who they know to go to for safeguarding issues. And they all, bar like one or two, said exactly the right answer. So that was really impressive.
Yeah.
So,
we're really impressed.
Yeah, I was impressed, and I thought not only have you provided us with some really good entertainment here, but you've also actually shown us that you do listen to what we say as well.
Yeah, the head teacher can go to sleep tonight, feeling okay about that.
It's okay. Panic. Listen. The kids think that Scotland's in UK. It's fine as long as they know that I'm the designated safeguarding lead.
Oh, yeah. Woo! Priorities, baby. Welcome back after the jingle. I am your host, Hayden, and I'm joined by Dylan today as well as the bottom anchor. Now, whilst I've got the attention, the limelight, Dylan, and you've been knocked down a few pegs.
Sure.
I just want to say to the viewers and listeners that Dylan's got a bit of a habit, right, with creating quizzes, and we've just obviously talked about one of our rounds, that if a round's not appropriate to him, which is based solely off whether he finds it hard or not, then it's gone. No, it's too hard. He's so confident with it, right? I'll suggest, too hard. People can't do this because he can't get it right? So we had this picture round that someone had sent him because he'd put a thing out on Threads, and it was a really good round, and I thought it was great, and I got maybe between me and Dylan, we got like half of them right. And because he didn't get them all right, he was like, it's too hard. I was thinking, but they'll be in teams of 7. They'll be, it's too hard. So we scrapped it. Genuinely, all right? And he replaced it with a homographs round. Really riveting homographs. If you don't know what homograph is, to you non-teachers out there, because obviously every teacher would know, right? We're not exposing anyone. Homographs are words that are, so spellings essentially, that are the same, but they have multiple meanings. For example, minute and minute. It's spelt the same. So if you looked at that word on paper, that's a homograph because it can mean something to do with time. It can also mean small. Or produce and produce, thinking about fruit and to create something. So those words are homographs, and Dylan made this horrible round, by the way, way harder than the picture round. I got like 3 out of 10. I could not do it.
But more importantly, I could do it. So
you could do it. So it stayed in. Dylan could do it. So it stayed in the quiz. So Dylan, I just wanted to put you on the spot in this podcast because I've written 3 more. And let's just find out, whether you are the homograph.
Should we give
king.
the people just a very quick example of what a question would look like? Just so they can play along as
well?
Yeah,
sure. So it would have been... Yeah, this is brand new. So okay. I'll give an example using the words I just used. So what would happen on the bit of paper was you would see the words time and small, and they're your clues to try and work out what the homograph is. And you would come up with the answer minute or minute. Obviously written down, it would just be the same word. And the same with fruit and create. The answer would be produce.
Can I just say that, the average score of the teams was like 8. Like they did do quite well. So,
Yeah, all right. It was, but like I said, that was trickier to me than the picture round.
No, because
you
can work these out. You can't work out a map. Like you either know what it's from or not.
Here he goes again. Look, here he goes.
Okay, sorry. I'm not the lead anchor. Sorry. Go on.
No, you're lucky if I don't cut that out. Right. So onto the game. And again, feel free to play at home, pause and have a go if you want. So Dylan, 3 questions.
Okay.
I've got 2 words, exactly the same setup. What is the homograph?
Okay.
Let's see if you can do it.
Okay.
Bet you can't. First one, rip and cry.
Tear.
All right. There's a warm up.
I got that from Rip. Come on.
Okay. All right. Next one. Twist and injury.
Oh. Twist and injury. Okay, give me the next
the
one.
answer as well. I forgot it. I'm sitting there trying to think what the answer was. We'll come back to that.
You're trying to expose me.
I literally forgot. I didn't write it down. Oh my god. Oh man, we'll have to work it out.
This is brilliant. It's like I was funny. I was like not gonna know it, and then you don't know it either.
I was really hoping you'd get it, so I could be like, yeah. I can't remember.
You've not even made these. You just got these online. Right, okay. Right,
so confident.
Give me the next one.
Give me the next one. All right, next one. Okay, you come back to twist and injury. We'll come back to.
Okay.
We'll work it out together. Yeah. Number 3. Thing. Disagree.
Oh, thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
thing.
Object and object.
And object.
Yeah.
So back to number 2.
Okay, go on. Let's work this out between us, shall we?
Twist and injury.
Oh, is that injury? It's like sprain. Okay, sprain doesn't work, does it?
No.
You can tear a muscle. You can rip a muscle. Rip?
Ooh.
No.
No.
You can.
Keep going.
You don't know it, do you? You actually
Keep going.
don't know
I've
it.
completely forgotten.
Synonym for twist. Twist. The people at home are pretty shouting us right now. So twist and injury. Like injury as in like a noun, not like to injure someone, like an injury.
Yeah, as a noun, an injury. Okay.
Twist and injury. Twist.
I'm going to remember it.
Turn.
I remember it. I remember it.
All right, that's good. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want the answer?
What do you think then? Give me a clue. Give me another clue.
Another clue. I mean,
we could just have the last half hour of the podcast be us sat in silence working it out, or you could give me a clue.
Yeah. Or we could put a poll. No, we're not going to do a poll. I'm going to tell you right now because you wouldn't be able to cope. I'm just going to tell you the answer. Ready?
Go on.
Wound and wound.
Oh, that's very good.
Wound.
That's very good. That is really good.
Well,
that's really good.
I was hoping you'd get 0 out of 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you hoping would come out of that?
To be honest. Well, I wanted to show, again, I wanted to knock you down a peg. It's not working. I'm trying my hardest here.
Listen, you're trying to knock down pegs. I'm hammering them in. I am climbing this ladder of pegs. It's not working, pal.
You're twisting them in, giving me an injury on the way. Anyway. So later on in the podcast, we have got...
Don't have this many jingles when I'm the lead anchor, do we?
Dylan, you did that thing again? Where you
don't have this many jingles when I'm the lead anchor.
Well, I like to section up the content because what you do is you waffle. Yeah. You whiffle waffle, whatever you called it. So later on in the podcast, we have got some fan favourites. We've got our Toxic Schools section where I'm going to talk about some toxicity that's happened and we're going to out those schools and talk about them. And also a story from the classroom this week as well to hopefully make you guys laugh. Now, again, Dylan's not seen any of this because I'm the lead anchor today. However, I did want to talk about something, Dylan, and I know you've been a little bit reluctant to talk about it in the past, and maybe you can talk about why.
Listen, don't bring up my medical history.
Oh, I wasn't going to go there. But no, this is a topic in which you've been a bit like, I don't know whether to talk about it or not. Dylan has been on TV a few times before, but I want to talk about the time that you went on the Ultimate Quiz Show as we're talking about quiz shows, which is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Which is a show you have been on, 2021? Was it? 2022?
No, filmed it in 2020 because it was
Oh my
the
God.
second show to come back from filming after COVID.
Right.
Do you know what the first show was? The first quiz question?
I don't.
So second show to film after COVID was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? First show, another quiz show, a staple of British television that they were recording the same day. They'd recorded 2 days before, I think.
Go on then. I have no idea. Wouldn't know what to guess.
Countdown!
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, that's good.
Your reaction was really, really not what I expected.
Yeah,
I don't know
no, I
why
couldn't.
you'd be excited by Countdown.
I couldn't have cared less,
Couldn't get
but
less.
I tried to. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me re-react to that one. Do you want to do it again, mate? Go on, say it again.
Okay, yeah. Do you know the only other thing before Millionaire was? That was
Countdown. Did I get it? Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you reacted just like I thought you would. Okay, so anyway, I want to dive into it because it's cool. Like, you went on a really, really big show. Let's get the elephant out of the room because I know this is the bit.
Hayden,
that you don't want to talk about, right? I know this is it, right? The money. Because you won a decent sum of money. How much did you win?
Yes. 125.
What? And you're mentioning it. I can't believe you're talking about this.
Don't do this to me. You know, you don't take your lead anchor role like this because you know my horrible anxieties around this.
Go on then. Let's get this out first then. So why have you been quite reluctant to talk about this? Because you don't actually mention it very often, considering how cool it is that you went on this show and won loads of money. Come on, get it out there. Get your disclaimer in there.
No, I've said it. It's always from the start. I'm just horrendously awkward, like you like to point out in a recent podcast. Dylan's a bit awkward. It's like I'm a bit awkward anyway. I'm very vocal on on issues around poorer people in society and how I think the government's role is to help them and everyone's role is to support them as much as possible. And I can just see what some people will just make these links of hypocrisy in the fact that I've just got that ridiculous amount of money for doing literally nothing. And it just highlights how broken our whole system is, that I can go and sit in a chair for half an hour and earn, and this is the thing, when I worked out that I earned more after tax, because you don't get taxed on winnings. This is another crazy thing. You don't get taxed. It was tax free. So it's not like I got taxed on that 125 grand. 125 grand landed in my bank account. It was the most crazy notification on my phone.
I remember.
I would always say to people, I was in the staff room at school when it got transferred to me, and I was just flicking through. It had a message from Hayden. You need to update your Gmail account. £125,000. It was what is this? It was just so crazy. But you don't pay tax. And I remember one of the most ridiculous things that I remember thinking to myself was, I earned more from that half an hour in the chair than I had done from my first, I think, 6 years of teaching.
Yeah.
6 whole years of teaching. And we talk about how grueling it is. It just shows how broken the system is, that, a company can just say, we'll make, half hour of telly. If this guy knows some questions, we'll give him 6 years worth of him doing a full-time job. And I just, it doesn't sit right with me. So no. Jokes aside, I don't actually like talking about it that much, but in context, it's fine. And I hate it when someone asks me how much I earn. I don't want to say it
because I've seen it.
Dirty.
I've obviously been in your company when someone said, "Oh, they found out you on the show," and how much did you win? And I always watch you recoil into your body, and I get it because, and I will, I'll compliment you once in this thing. I guess you are generally horrible. No, I'm joking. You are generally really very aware of your surroundings, and I get it. You never want to come across like you're bragging. You hate bragging, and you hate people that brag. I know that. So for you, it's you feel like you're being hypocritical, but you did. At the end of the day, it's a game show. You went on the game show, which is pure chance anyway. Not everyone gets on the game show. We'll talk about that in a minute. And you won the money, and that's really, really cool. So there you go. You've got your disclaimer out there now. No one knows you're just on here to brag. But I want to ask you a few questions.
Well, also,
about it.
You're in charge here. You've taken us down this road, so let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was a good link. We were talking about our quiz, and I was like, this is the time to mention you on TV because it is interesting. And I'm sure there's still stuff I probably don't know, even having spoke to you in the past. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about it. We'll just dive into it, give the viewers and listeners a bit more information. So first things first.
I like this. Am I going to get a purple, thumbnail?
No, you're not the guest. You're not the guest for this episode. Right. However, next week, I will say this, guys, tune in because we have got an awesome guest who you're going to love listening to. But back to this. How did you go from you, a nobody, sorry, that's get in there, to getting on arguably the biggest, the most sought after quiz show, I think I would say. How did that happen?
it's you just got to know where to look. I think a lot of people, that's the number one question I get. How did you do it? First thing is knowing where to look. Like you literally just have to search on Google, ITV be on TV or BBC be on TV. They have their own like website, part of their website where it's just a page full of shows and you can just click on and literally apply. And it's just like filling in a form. You fill in the form, they often ask you for a picture. That sometimes if they're really trying to like sift through people, if it's a really popular one, they might ask for like a 2-minute video, because I think a lot of people kind of get to the point where, I've got to fill out all this form and a 2-minute video. And I think the producers are just like, how can we get as many ways to stop hundreds of thousands of people applying? Yeah. So you just got to be relentless as well. Like I applied for Millionaire. I think it was my 6th time of applying when I actually got on the show. And each time I applied, I got to various points in the process, because the first thing is you have to fill out a form, and it's just questions like, what would you do with the money? What's your number one hobby? Because not only have they got to try and sound you out, like, are you decent enough at quizzing for it to be interesting? They also want to see if you're like a personality that could get on with the telly. Because if you're not that, and you just come on, you're really wooden and you win loads of money, it's not good TV.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't good TV. So... you proved that.
You didn't want to watch a guy drink from his cup every 2 seconds.
Can I just mention that real quick? We'll go back to the story.
Yeah.
There was a meme that appeared from this. So obviously all of Dylan's friends and family and that lot and people we knew at the time, it just emerged this amazing meme, because throughout the whole thing, and I'm presuming you were a bit nervous about being there, obviously.
Oh, yeah, this is how it manifested, because I felt okay, but only when I watched it back and I saw what you're about to say did I think, oh, that's how that manifested my horrible nerves.
Loads of people picked out the fact, and you can watch it on ITV Player, right? Is that a thing? Or is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on there still right now. Yeah.
You can find it if you really want to, but there's just, Dylan drinks from his water, honestly, like every 5 seconds. Clearly just a thing. It was like, oh yeah, next, mid-sentence, drinking from his glass of water, and people were just taking the mick, because obviously it looked a bit abnormal. But anyway, back to you, like I just want to ask that time period. How long was that of you applying? You said you applied like 6 times. Was that over a few years?
So ever since the show came back. So the show has been back since I think like 2018, maybe 2019. Oh, okay. So they had I think they have like a season every like 6 months with Millionaire, roughly. But yeah, like 6, honestly, like 5 or 6 goes, and you get to varying points, because then if you pass the first test, you do an online quiz as well. So you have to answer questions online, and it's timed. And then if you pass that, you get a phone call interview, where they'll talk to you a bit more, flesh out a bit more, actually hear you, like not a rehearsed answer you can just type out that anyone can do. And then ask you do another quiz that you've got to get a certain number of marks on the phone. Then you have to go to Zoom. So I did a Zoom call, which was the third hurdle, which was again another chat, but this time face to face, so you can see you like almost like on television. Answer more questions, but then at that point they're asking you 32,000, 64,000, 125,000 questions to see like where you roughly stand in your general knowledge.
Did you do well on that?
So I got to that point on my like 4th or 5th application, but then did really badly. And like, I just kind of froze. I didn't know the answer to a few questions, and they said, oh, we'll be in touch if you're successful. And I wasn't. And I think a lot of people at that point might just think, oh, it's not for me. But I was like, no, this is the number one, my number one favorite quiz show. I'm just going to apply again. And then the next time I was fortunate where I'll always remember it, because the first question that they asked me on the Zoom call, and it really settled my nerves, was just a football question that I'd answered in a quiz like weeks beforehand. And I love football. And they were like, which was the last team to win the first division before it became the Premier League? And I was like, Leeds, it's Leeds. And as soon as I knew that, it just settled me down a bit. I was more calm and I answered the questions better. And and at that point, they ring you back and they say, you've been successful. Here are your provisional dates. Let's go. That's it.
Yeah, and you got on. The crazy thing to me is like, even at that point, it's still not guaranteed, because you went through those like 4 or 5 rounds of like getting on. And then even when you get on the show, and I didn't really realize this because I just forgot about it, to be honest with you, from not watching it as much as you. I forget that when you're on the show, you still don't necessarily get a chance in the chair. Like, how many of you are there? 10?
So very quickly, I'll just preface this with a stat, because it's really cool. It's to do with applying. They told me when I was there, the producers, that they had 40,000 applications. Okay. Cool. Just think about like 40,000. Like that's a lot of applications for a quiz show, where it's not like on telly where they say apply now. You just got to go and try and find it because it was like a new season. And 48 people got to appear in the show. Of the 48 people who got to appear in the show, she said they expect roughly, so not even exact, they expect roughly 16 to 20 people to actually have a go in the end.
Wow.
So the whole point is you're there with 6 other people when you do your show.
Yeah.
So there are 8 shows they casted for. 6 other people are there, and you've got to answer the fastest finger. And only if you are the fastest person to order something or answer a question, do you then get a chance to sit in the chair. And out of the 6, on average, 2 people per episode actually managed to actually play the game.
And you were one of them, which was amazing. You were the first one on, weren't you?
Yeah, so the first question, this is the thing. We'll talk about preparation later, I'm sure. I'll go into as much detail as you want. But with fastest finger, that was the one thing that I felt like I could practice.
Yeah.
Because it's very, if you watch the show, it's often very similar stuff, like put these 4 words in alphabetical order or put these 4 events in chronological order, because you're ordering stuff. There's only so many ways they can say it. And it just so happens that from when I was young and getting into quiz shows and stuff, I just loved maps. I've absorbed so many maps. I kind of roughly know where all the countries are in the world. I used to learn all of the capital cities. And the question came up, number 1 was geography. And it was, I still remember it now. So it was, list these 4 cities in order, closest first from London.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
And there were 4 random cities and they all began with B, because there's always some kind of link, but it's just nonsense. And it was Baghdad, Brussels, Bangkok, Budapest. So straight away, I'm just thinking to myself, because you hear the question before the time starts. So I didn't know the answers, but as soon as it said from London, I was like, oh, I literally might know this. Because if it was a question like these 4 bones in the body, I'm just rubbish with that kind of stuff. I just wouldn't have known it. If that came up, I'd have kind of switched off and been like, oh, okay, it's going to be annoying, I'll guess. But because I knew I might know it, I kind of was hyper aware then. And then when it came up, I was like, duh, 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 like, that meme of like all the numbers going past someone's face like this.
You get like
I just felt like that guy.
You get so far. I've seen you in that like when you're hyper focus mode. Like it is impressive to be fair. You always win games and stuff because you're ridiculously quick when you're in that zone.
Well, this is the thing. I think that young people have a disadvantage. So I noticed something with the game show. People probably, it's a really good thing that we have more inclusion than ever. If you watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in the 90s, right? First of all, they had like 16 people each show, not 6. So it was really hard to get on. But they were all 50, 60-year-old white blokes who just love quizzing. Because they're the people who like quizzing. It's not even a bad thing. Like more of them applied, so more of them got on. But obviously these days, it's not a bad thing. A lot more inclusion. And you can see, you could just see from the people that were there, it was a much wider representation of society. So they've made that conscious effort to do that. And in every episode, there are 3 women and 3 men. Because men apply for this in huge numbers compared to women, but they made the decision, let's just split it in half. And that's a good thing, I think, just for that kind of representation, get them interested in it and stuff like that. Anyway, they have 2 younger, male and female, 2 middle-aged, male and female, and 2 older, male and female. And if you watch the show, you'll notice that pattern. But the problem to my benefit is young people are doing really well on the show now because they have quicker reactions. There was a guy who also knew the order, who must have been in his 60s, maybe in his 70s, but he just wasn't as quick at me as putting in the answer. He might have even have known it quicker than me, but just didn't have that reaction time to press the buttons properly.
It was just a physical test.
Exactly. And I thought it's not really fair. Like, really, if you're going to do that whole age thing, if they're all 60, then that's fair. If they're all 20, that's fair. But I did think, because the 2 people who had a go, during my episode were me and the young female.
Oh, right.
We're the 2 who got in. Yeah.
Man. And like, so, you're at the point now, you've just won the fastest finger. You literally know in your head now, I'm about to be on this show. Like, I'm going to be on TV guaranteed now for more than like 20 seconds from that fastest finger game. And you're sat there in the chair, drinking your water every 5 seconds. What was going through your mind at that point in terms of like your expectations of what you thought was going to happen?
Like I can't stress this enough, and it's just true. Literally nothing. Like I can't. I finished recording.
End the pod there.
No, I finished recording, and for about half an hour after, because I was on such a weird, like, emotional state, I couldn't remember more than half of the questions that I just answered. Like, it's such a, like, you just like transcend yourself almost and sit down, and then Jeremy Clarkson's opposite you, which is just bizarre as well, because he's just a bloke on the telly, and you see him, and he's like 7'4" and just absolutely massive. And it's just like, hello. And he's like, hello, Dylan. I'm like, hiya. And he was like, I didn't know what to expect from him, to be perfectly honest. He's the kind of guy where, he'll might bash teachers in a Daily Mail article, but say a funny joke on Top Gear, and he's like well liked or well hated, and he's hated, very polarizing. And I didn't really know what to expect from him, but he was the loveliest guy. Like, he was so nice. He came and talked to us all beforehand. I felt very at ease. He's got kind of a bit of our sense of humor. He didn't mind giving a bit of banter, but I don't mind taking it. So, like, we kind of got on in the end. And yeah, it's just like when you sit down, sorry, to answer your question, is the only thing that was going through my head was enjoy it. Take your time.
Yeah.
Treat it like you're down the pub at a pub quiz.
Yeah.
Because I go to quizzes for fun. This is the ultimate quiz. This is the ultimate, like, I would pay money for this experience. You know, like you get like escape rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
I would pay like £100 for the experience of having Jeremy Clarkson read quiz questions to me on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire set. I was like, I'm the luckiest guy in the world right now. I'm just going to enjoy it and do what I can do.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And I remember you saying that beforehand as well. You were just really happy to be on the show. That's all you wanted. You weren't worried about how much you won or didn't win. So I guess it was just a huge bonus. So when you said like you had like half an hour after, where you obviously were just letting it all kick in, I guess, or letting it all sink in. I imagine you probably had a really special moment where you phoned someone and let them know. Who was that? Who was that special person that you sort of thought, I'm going to phone them up and let them know that I've just won 125 grand. Was there anyone that you did that for?
Did I ring you in a bit of a fade?
You did ring me as that special person that you wanted to tell. I've forgotten. Oh man, I remember that. In all seriousness, obviously you did let me know, and I remember exactly where I was. I was in the kitchen. Lauren was with me. We were just doing some everyday stuff, and you rang me. My heart sank immediately because I knew obviously you were gonna.
You knew what was happening.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna tell me something. I hadn't spoke to you since the morning because you'd been getting ready on set. Obviously, I had
your phones
no
get taken off you.
So you couldn't even have anything. So you had to come outside, didn't you? So I had no live updates. I just knew that you were going on the show. Didn't even know if you got through to the chair. So the fact that you called me and it was like, and you were really quick and you were just like, yeah, I won 125 grand. I was like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I didn't believe you for like a solid 30 seconds. I was like, you're the kind of guy who will obviously prank me. No matter what happens, I was like, he's not going to tell me the truth firstly anyway, no matter what happens. He would just tell me you won $1 million or something. Oh man, 100. And I was so buzzed in that moment. Like, it's ridiculously how like empathetically excited you can get for someone else. And then it sunk in that obviously I didn't win anything. And I was very depressed. No, I was just
we
really
did everything
excited.
together. We did everything together. The business, our careers have gone in the same path. And then suddenly I'm just like, whoop, bye. See ya.
Got this money now. See you later. But that was brilliant. I mean, the burning question really, and we'll probably circle back around to like how you prepared and stuff, but I know people want to know, what did you do with the money?
Oh, this is the other number one question I get. And it's just, here's me in a nutshell. My uncle summed this up. He kind of told me why I did this before I even realized, which is why I did it. And basically, I've still got about 80% of that money in my bank, right? So even when interest rates were nothing and you couldn't really get anything from it, I was just so obsessed with the idea of not wasting it and not being that idiot who just gets loads of money and then ends up spending 30 grand on something which he'll just forget forever. And it's not being clever. But then equally, so many people said to me when I won that money, oh, you should get a couple of buy-to-lets. You should put that down, get a little 25% mortgage, get some flats, have a bit of buy-to-let. And I couldn't have thought of anything worse to do with my life than become a landlord. And I know for some people, seriously though, because it would have been a very common way to make some money. And a lot of
smart
people
investment.
Fair enough if that's what you want to do. But the idea that I make money off someone else who can't afford their own house because they have to rent and I charge them money to live somewhere. And then if I want to sell it, I can just tell them to get out. What's their home, really? And just because I won on a game show, which is completely irrelevant, like I couldn't live with that. So I just kind of kept the money thinking, well, one time we might move, we might upgrade our house, which is essentially what we're trying to do this year, trying to move into a home that's bigger for the future. But, I kept it basically. And what I did was I kind of chunked it off. So 125 grand. I said to myself, I'm not going to touch 100 grand. I'm not going to touch it unless it's for a really specific reason. And the other 25 grand, I bought a new car, which I needed anyway. So I just got a nicer car than what I was going to get. I bought a brand new set of golf clubs because I love playing golf, but I'd only ever used hand-me-downs for like 8 years because I couldn't justify spending that money on golf sets. And I'm really bad at spending money. This is something else I learned as well.
I know.
Even when it's free and I've won it.
I know.
Even when it's free, not that I'm stingy and stuff. I'm happy to, but like personally, I don't want to just spend money when I feel like I could save it. So yeah, basically not much. I say to the kids, I got an iPad because I did go to the shop and get myself an iPad because I was
I remember it's been very useful. But what did your uncle say? You said your uncle was summed you up.
Yeah. No, he said he basically summed it up because whenever I got asked, what did you do with the money? I was like, I kind of felt a bit embarrassed that I just kept it because it's not really an answer, is it? You either spend it or you invest it or, you don't just leave it in the bank and let it depreciate and stuff.
Yeah.
But his point was just like, it's just when you look back at like in terms of coming from a family with not loads and loads of money when I was younger. Like we come from up north. It was just my mum and my sister for a while. We by no means had loads of money. You know, we've moved houses, we've rented for a bit, we've lost a house, we've got this and that from youth. And the point they made was like, my uncle just said something along the lines of, well, that's why. Because you're always thinking of the worst case scenario. And I was like, yeah, I do. I actually always do think of the worst case scenario. So he was saying there's no situation, whilst you've got 100 grand in the bank, there's no situation that will rinse you, that will get you in the position where your life's horrendous. Because, for example, if the boiler explodes, I can immediately fix it. I've got all that money in the bank. Yeah. If the car breaks down, I can immediately fix it. I'm just not letting myself ever get to the point where even if an emergency happened and I could solve it, I'm at zero again. The point is you've got such a buffer because you don't want that to happen. And I was like, God, yeah, that is definitely the meta inside my head, which is cool. I've now all that money got me was security. It didn't get me things because I've not bought things with it. It just bought me complete security of all of those things potentially happening in the future.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a mindset you've grown up with, understandably, like most people do in the country anyway. And I can see it. You know, you can see if you had a different upbringing, like let's say like a really privileged upbringing where money was just nothing. You know, one of those kind of families where you just buy whatever you want, whenever you want, doesn't matter. Then I could understand that you might just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna splash it. I bought a 60 grand like Land Rover, and it's like I'll be like, okay, all right. Another question. You were obviously a teacher then, still are. How did your class react? Because obviously you were that teacher one day, and then you're on TV and doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, they how you think they would. They absolutely loved it. Like it was one of the best things that I've done to just immediately be seen on the pedestal by the children and respected. Like it sounds ridiculous, but it helped me kind of build those bonds really, really quickly with my new kids, like later on, because we filmed it. We filmed it in the summer. It came out in like January, right? But it came out when the second lockdown of COVID happened, because I was gonna arrange like a watch party. Okay, so I was gonna like, arrange this thing where we get friends round and we just watch it together, and we just like turn it into a reason to get together, basically when COVID was rife. But COVID lockdown actually came in, so we couldn't get together with anyone while we were watching it, and I just was sat on my phone getting messages and stuff, which was really cool. But it also meant that I didn't have my class in school. So at that point, we had bubbles of key worker children. So it's still cool, though, because I still showed them because it was on ITV Player the next day. So we went online, we watched that, and it was before lunch, and they were just hooked. But I also had like, you know, office staff coming into the classroom and TAs and stuff coming in to watch it because everyone was just so buzzed. And it was a really nice pick-me-up at that time for a lot of people in school, because it was so depressing. Like, it's really easy to forget how depressing it was socially at that point. I know people kind of cracked on with work. We were at that really horrible point of COVID where everyone was just expected to crack on with the work, but no one had any social interactions with people at any point. And it like really ground people down. But me personally, obviously, it was a really real bonus being able to have this. But for other people, I felt the joy. They were just happy to be like, oh, this thing happened. Isn't that really cool? Yeah, and that's for the kids. Like, they love nice, it. Yeah, exactly.
And I had the same thing. I had you on my Google background for ages at school because I knew the kids. It made the kids laugh. They were like, "That's Mr. Price." Like, and he was on that. Some of the kids still didn't know. Like a couple of years later, it's like, yeah, he was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You should ask him about it. And they're like, "That's so cool." So yeah. Definitely.
No, and I still get it now. Especially where I've taught siblings and stuff, because like from their point of view, I'm the teacher who's famous. They just think I'm famous because as soon as you're on TV, you're famous. As soon as you've done a YouTube video, I'd say this to any teacher, by the way, listening. If you want a really quick win with your class, if you're doing a lesson next year where anything you could turn into a video, we did this like 5-6 years ago, but it wasn't on YouTube. We just recorded ourselves as a prompt for a lesson. If they see that you're on YouTube, or if they see that you've made a video content, immediately elevated. You're like, oh my God, that's cool. My teacher's made a YouTube video like that. It's just such an easy win. And like being on national television, I got cards and stuff from the kids that year. I got one card off Moonpig, and they'd screenshot. They'd taken a picture of their child sat in front of the TV on the floor, when they're looking up like that, of me on the screen, but their child there who was in my class. And I was like, I've still got that card. I remember it.
That's so nice. I actually remember that picture as well. Yeah, I do. Oh, that's really so sweet. So I got one more question for you guys. We'll talk about this forever, I'm sure. But I remember the context of this question is all the children at school constantly asking you for stuff after. Do you remember when they were all like, "Oh my god, can you buy me a PlayStation? Are you gonna get me an Xbox? Can I have £1,000? Can I have this?" And obviously they're just messing around. The kids are just messing around, and it was funny. And you always humoured them. It was really nice. But did you get any of like those kind of messages or weird messages from actual people? You know how you expect when people go and win money, like people that win the lottery often have to be like safeguarded against scammers and people that just try to get to know them. Suddenly they're your best friends.
Yeah.
Did you have any of that?
Well, link to that really quickly.
Other than me.
ITV actually said to go on the show, you have to sign up to 2 meetings with a psychologist. So I don't know if they were like kind of safeguarding people. And initially you had to say it because, and the whole thing about before I went on, it was with a psychologist saying, Jeremy can be quite, his banter, other people might find it offensive and it's going to go on national television and people will try and message you and people will react and it might be negative, it might be positive. And then once I'd won, they also wanted me to do another one just for the reasons you just said of, you've won a substantial amount of money. This might happen, just to see if you're mentally okay, basically, because they don't want to be seen to not have anything in place and then you go off the rails. So, but yeah, I got a lot of Facebook messages because obviously at the start of Millionaire, you do your little wave, little wave at the camera like that. And it says not only like your full name, but where you're from. And when I think about it more and more, I'm like, that's not really necessary, is it? Just like got my full name and where I'm from. Yeah. So immediately on Facebook, my message request inbox was like, just like full of stuff. And it like nothing completely inappropriate, but a lot of older people kind of like, and the vibe was a bit seedy, let me just say, like sometimes. And a lot of just genuine comments from people saying like, well done. But, to go and find a stranger, like there were people from like, Stratford and like Edinburgh, and it just a bit odd. I didn't really like it. I didn't interact with any of them.
They're probably chancing their arm thinking, oh, if I'm nice to him, he might like be my friend. And then maybe
I don't know,
give me some money or something like that. I don't know. It's just strange. Or they're just being genuinely nice, like and it's just, that's their way of saying something. I don't know.
I did have one like unbelievably nice moment, and I'll always regret it because I never got round to replying to this person, and I still now get that because you're just in school. I saw something, I was like, oh, that's amazing. I'm going to make sure I reply to this properly, but I just never got round to doing it, and I still regret it now. And I still might make sure I do this at some point. But I got a letter, a card, right, which was delivered to school. So one of the children in my class at the time, her great grandmother lives in Wales, and you got to remember, peak of COVID, this woman must have been completely isolated. Okay, completely isolated, just watching telly, ringing her daughter who lives in Kent with their grandson and stuff, granddaughter who I teach. She just got me a congratulations card. This woman, she was, I think she was in her 90s, handwritten from Wales, saying, "Dear Mr. Price, the most lovely letter. Like, well, congratulations on this. It was so refreshing to see, a teacher, she was just being really nice to me, like carry himself so well. My great granddaughter loves being taught by you. She's so lucky to have," and it's just like a full side, this lovely comment. And I just remember at the time, because it was peak COVID, and I just like, I couldn't express enough how grateful I was that she wrote it, but also how like awful I felt that was her social thing. Because she even said in there, because of COVID, she doesn't have as much social stuff now. She can't go meet up with her other people and do her clubs and stuff. So she felt like she had something watching TV and seeing me on the show. And I remember thinking, I need to reply, and I didn't. And I still right now think, I know. And I right now just think, I hope and I pray that she doesn't think that I was just being ignorant or something, because I really, really appreciated that.
Another reason that you're not the lead anchor today. It was a nice story, and we ended it on a really sad note. I'm joking. I'm sure she didn't expect anything in return. She probably just wanted to like share her genuine gratitude for you going on and being the teacher of her grandkid and that.
Yeah, I've got one other story because it's just quite funny. Because do you know, you said about how I rang you and I told you.
Yeah.
I didn't tell any of my family that I was even going on the show. Right, so they didn't even know I was going on the show. I drove to Manchester on my own because, again, COVID rules. I drove to Manchester on my own, stayed in a hotel room on my own, did the whole thing. Anyway, I told my sisters beforehand. I thought, how am I going to do? So I'd already been on the show and won the money. So I got back to my hotel room and I made a WhatsApp group with my sisters. Okay, so I made and I told them, because I wanted to surprise my parents on a call. And I said to my sisters, listen, I've just been on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And they were like, what? Like initial shock already. And I was like, yeah. I just went on What's Millionaire. I won £16,000. And they were like, what? 16 grand? Like, I can't believe it. That's amazing. Because my whole thing was, I was going to tell them, have the shock. And then they're like, wow, you won 16 grand. Then we watch it together and I go past 16 grand and they're like, what's going on? And like every kind of steps, like more and more. Yeah. So I managed to, I said to them, right, I'm going to ring now. You all need to answer at the same time. We'll do a group WhatsApp video call. Did it. Parents came on the call. I was like, all right, guys. And I was telling them they had to pretend to be shocked, obviously. I was like, yeah, just wanted to show you something. And I just showed them a piece of paper that said, congratulations on being on Who Wants to Be Millionaire. You have won. And I'd folded it where it said how much.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, what? Dylan? And I went, no, seriously. And then I showed them the hotel room. And I showed them, you could see Old Trafford out of my window, the Manchester United's training ground, Man United's football pitch. So they're like, Dylan, what? And I was like, yeah. I won 16 grand. And my mum's there. My mum's like crying. She's like, Dylan, you won 16 grand. But I'm there like buzzing with excitement. Like, and I was like, yeah, not really though. I won 125 grand. I just couldn't even keep it for that much longer. No. I was like, I was going to do this whole elaborate thing. Turns out it was lockdown anyway, so we couldn't have watched it together. But I had to wait 7 months for the money.
I was about to say, it was a long time anyway, wasn't it? There's no way you would have waited that long and not been able to tell them. So I'm sure it was. How did they react when you said the bigger amount?
Oh, they were just like, it was really funny because they'd reacted to 16 grand, which is obviously a lot of money. Like in a way where I thought, well, there's nothing extra they've got, so I might as well just tell them. And they just carried on. They were like, and I just got messages the rest of the night going, I don't believe it. I still don't believe it. Yeah,
it's actually $1 million. Oh my God.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
I really wanted to try. Yeah. I did spend a good chunk of time convincing people that I got to $1 million instead. And I was like, why am I doing this? This is not good.
Yeah, you did it to me. You were like, I remember you trying to convince me that you just had me on the whole time. And there was a minute where I was like, did he? He's pulling that prank on me. But you didn't. Amazing. Well, it was really interesting to hear your story. If anyone's got any more questions, write them in. I'm sure Dylan will be happy to let you know.
I'll ignore them. Just like I ignored that 90-year-old woman.
Oh, God's sake. Anyway, time for another jingle, I think. We're going to move on now to a section that we've loved doing in the past. But it's been a few episodes. That was another jingle, Dylan. You heard it here. Jingle number 4, 5. Who knows? If you know how many, let me know. Toxic schools. One of my favourite segments. Haven't done it in a while. We like rinsing people for being horrible in school. Absolutely. So let's do that. I've got a few things. I've just, as always, been scouring the internet, scouring forums and all those sorts of things. And I look for anonymous posts or people just saying things. And I think that would be interesting to share. So here's my first one. I read a post today. And by the way, this is from like the last 2 days. This stuff happens all the time. It's ridiculous. So I saw someone saying that they're feeling broken and sad at the moment. And they were crying in a car park whilst writing this post. I thought, crikey, here we go. Because they've been off school quite a bit recently with hospital appointments because they are suspected of having cancer, so having biopsies. So a horrible, horrible thing, right? And she was told that the sample that they took, they needed to get another one. And her school have already got her on a written warning for having too much time out of school. And now she is more scared about coming out of school to go back to the hospital to go for like a horrible process than she is actually the horrible process. She's like scared about what her school are going to do, and she was asking for advice on whether she's going to get fired for having more hospital appointments or not. I read this whole thing. I was thinking, oh my God, this is horrendous. This is horrible. How could this have been twisted?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really add it. I don't think anyone with a soul. Like anyone with any who's on the other side of this debate, like it must just be the people in charge of the school. I don't get it. Like I know there are procedures and stuff, but even if you have to be, let's say for example, right, that you're absent quite a bit because of this, because of a genuinely horrible circumstance, right? But for whatever reason, because we're not in SLT, so I feel sometimes we're a bit, maybe we're being a bit obnoxious because we don't actually know what needs to go on. But maybe it does need to be documented, right? That a certain employee has missed a lot of time simply just to keep the books straight and sort out pay and stuff like that. All right. So maybe that's the thing that needs to happen. The problem here is the fact that she feels that way about having to continue to receive treatment for a potentially life-threatening disease.
Yep.
it straight away puts the blame on the people running the system, because no matter whether you have to do this or not, whether you have to write someone up, whether you have to give them a warning for whatever reason, if you're doing it in a way which provokes this outcome from the person, then you're unhinged. There's something wrong with the process. What on earth are you doing? Like, how can it get to that point? Do you not know what's happening? You have like no personal human touch whatsoever to be able to think, I'm going to go and put my arm around her and say, listen, we need to put this through the system, because obviously you've been off and we need to make sure you get your sick pay and whatever it is, but we're here for you. You know, I hope everything goes well. If it doesn't, just let us know and we'll sort it out. It sounds like it's just, all right, cool. You're off sick. All right, I'll just write that up. That's a warning, by the way, because it's been 3 days now. See ya.
Yeah, I don't get it. Maybe there's more to it. You know, maybe every story has got two sides. I get that. Maybe there's more that we don't understand. But the idea, like you said, the crux is this person is more scared about telling their school that they've got to go and have a second biopsy than they are to have the second biopsy. I feel like you said a life-threatening condition. It just, I don't know, it got my back up when I read it, and I thought I'd share it with you just to get yours up too. I've got another one, a second one. Someone else, literally a few more posts down, like a day ago, said they're worried at the moment that they're being penalised by their school for going on maternity leave. Like, just already that's enough, isn't it, right? So They came back at the end of the summer term. Very, very classic thing to do, completely in your right, and I encourage doing it. Come back on the last day of school and get paid for summer. There's not many other perks in this job. Do it, and you'll be working over summer anyway, because we all do. So let's not pretend we're not. Anyway, so they came back at the end of summer and they were given like tons of planning to do over the summer. Way more as sort of like a penance for, well, you've come back after summer and you've been off for a year. So they felt like it was just not justified. Like, they were getting way more work than other people. They've been told to plan this like enormous unit. It's got to be ready for September, day one. But they didn't explicitly say you've got to do it in the summer. They just did that classic thing of like, oh, it's got to be ready for September. Make sure you get that done. Heavily implied that, well, obviously I've got to do that in my summer holidays then. So they're basically just annoyed that they feel like they're clearly taking action against her because she took maternity leave. So that's nice.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And I know the likelihood of this person listening. But these are the moments, right? And I've said this a few times, where we have, as a staff, as a profession, decided to strike, right? Because of paying conditions. To me, at a lower threshold than that is when we stop doing this stuff for people who take advantage of us. So if we've decided to strike, that means we've also have to have decided to put our foot down in these situations and just say no. And what I would do is I would just go and find out amongst the team how much planning there is distributed, because it has to be even. It doesn't matter what's happened beforehand. You're back at work on the last day of the summer term. Everyone else is working on the last day of the summer term. From then on, everything has to be equally split. And if something has to be done by the 1st of September, then it needs to have been shared before the last day of summer term. Because what's essentially happening at that point is, if forget the maternity thing, if someone said to me on the last day of summer term, by the way, brand new planning needed, starting in September the 1st, you need to do this whole unit for me, please. I would genuinely say, I'd do it if there was more warning. But if they're saying on the last day, and then, well, we're not directing you, obviously, because we can't direct you in your holidays, but it needs to be done for September the 1st. Like, how often does that happen in schools? You know, we're not directing you. We're not directing you. It just needs to get done. Cool, when?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say when. I'm not going to say when, because that'll be me directing your time, but you've got to get it done.
Yeah, I think there's like a little bit of a misconception, isn't there, between like what director time can mean. I'm not directing you when to do it. You do it whenever you want. That's the problem. It's no. It doesn't. You don't have to tell me when to do it. Like their point would be, I'm not telling you to do it on a Sunday or a Tuesday or a Monday. I'm not directing your time at all. It just needs to be done. The problem is you're still implying that it has to be done in that time, and none of which you can direct in any way. So you're directing some of that time. You're just not saying exactly when. It just can't be done. So yeah, I would agree. My advice to that person would be absolutely don't do it. Do what you feel is necessary. We all do a little bit of work over summer. I get it. We have to just be ready for September. But there is a limit. There is a limit. And if someone's taking advantage of you or trying to penalise you for taking maternity leave, a statutory right, I'm not going to go there. But speaking of maternity leave, if you haven't listened to our episode with Sophie Bartlett, episode 17, 19, 15, something like
somewhere.
That. We know our episodes. Do go back and listen to it, because if you're thinking of going on maternity leave at some point or you're on it now, really good listen, because she talks about shared parental leave and just generally your rights and how, let's not be walked over as a profession. You know, take what you are entitled to. Absolutely. And don't feel bad about it. So that's my toxic stories, Dylan. I'm sorry to get you riled up after such a nice story about you. on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Listen, I've been stripped of my lead anchor role, and I still managed to talk more than anyone this episode. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I know. You probably talked more than me than ever in an episode before. That's because you're the guest.
I'm just saying. Yeah, you made me your guest here, so this is
that's true. That's true. Well, look, the episode as always is getting on, so I'm going to finish with a stories from the classroom, just a funny story, lighthearted, just to cheer everybody up, and hopefully cheer you up as well after those little toxic stories.
Oh, thank you.
Right, so this has been written in. I'm going to read it off my screen here, and you can react as you will. This person said, I listened to one of your episodes where Hayden said that every teacher farts in the classroom and walks away. I did say that back in one of the earlier episodes. It's true, by the way. Well, he's right. We all do it. I do it. However, I have taken it one step further. During my second year of teaching, I had a particularly gassy stomach after a heavy night out the night before. In brackets, I was young. I couldn't do this now. Definitely also true, by the way. There's no way you'd catch me going out past about 8 p.m. on a school night. Mid-teaching and walking around the classroom, I decided to let out a silent but deadly whopper. Knowing how many times I'd got away with this before, I was confident in my abilities to drop, run, and just watch the chaos unfold. However, I learned that day the good old lesson of never push a fart out. I think we know what's coming.
No.
I'm sure you've guessed what happens next. I followed through. Mid-lesson.
Who's written this down?
Oh, mate, it's brilliant. I had to make up an excuse for a nearby TA to come in the room and take over whilst I waddled to the toilet. And nowadays, I think twice before letting it rip. Thank you for plucking up the courage. I won't read your name. I won't read your name or your location. You're not a millionaire.
Wait a minute. It says Hayden Stevens. That's weird.
Yeah. Oh, there was nothing actually written there. That was from my memory. It wasn't. I'm just gonna put a disclaimer out there.
You know what though? It is good though. I must say, no matter because that story scarred me a little bit because like that's just disgusting. But whenever we get stories in from people, they always just seem to be on another level. I don't know who these people are who are writing into us because I've not seen this one. I don't know how you got that story. But if you have a story, I think what we're going to have to do, Hayden, is set up kind of an anonymous link. Because when people email us, we still see who it is, obviously. We know the name. So I think it puts people off sometimes. Maybe we just create some kind of completely anonymous link. And then you can send us your stories in and be as crude as you want.
That sounds like a good plan. And hopefully we'll get plenty more like this to share. But don't be embarrassed, guys. Your chances are you're going to tell a story and someone out there listening is going to be like, yep, happened to me. Maybe not this one, but
maybe not.
Well, you never know.
God, I can't believe that someone wrote that into us. We're not your therapist, love. Okay, we're not the people to solve this problem for you. If you can think you can go out and night out and do that in the class. We're not the guys. I don't know who you think we are.
We are the guys. Keep writing them in. We are the guys. This is our therapy session, and we're here to say, well done. We're proud of you. It made us. It made a funny moment for us. Yeah. Maybe don't do it again.
Maybe. And I'm just gonna say, Hayden, bravo on your first lead anchor appearance. You really wanted to show the people why we decided from the offset that I was in charge, and we did that today.
Did we? Well, that's the poll. So go and vote now. Who should be the lead? Have we done that before?
No, we've done that. I think what we should do. Yeah, we should do a very simple one.
Okay.
Which is.
Should I cut Dylan off at the end of the podcast? No, go on, speak. Yeah, it's your turn. Go
on. I'm scared.
No, it's all right. You speak.
You're going to cut me off?
No.
I'm going to speak really quick.
Wouldn't do that.
I'm going to speak really quick.
No, tell us what you've got planned. No, please do take over and to tell us the poll.
You asked me what's on the poll. I think the poll should be.
So basically, should it be? Should I? I tried to get you. You knew it was coming.
Go on. It was coming. I stopped.
Go on. I promise I won't now. I won't.
Hayden,
joke's over.
Listen. The person who interrupts the most knows exactly when to interrupt. So I knew when to stop because you were going to come in. I was like, I'll do it then.
True.
Stopped.
Can't interrupt the interruption.
It should just be very simple. Was this episode any good? No.
Well, no. Well, but then all the people can't vote yes. Why would we do that to ourselves?
Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
It's a joke.
It's the banter. It's the banter.
Listen, we're going to end it. If you want more jokes and more silly school banter, and you want to learn more about schools and more about us and more about Dylan and how he interrupts me and people pooing themselves at school, then tune in to another episode. Dylan, did you want to say anything before we go?
You can cut me off probably. But I was just going to say, if anyone's made it this far, we do have a very, very, very special guest next week, and it's well worth you guys tuning in. So do follow, do press the bell, give us a rating, all that good stuff. It really helps us out.
So that's it from us, from me, Hayden, the lead anchor to this episode and probably all future episodes as well. And also the other guy, Dylan, the Mr. Hypocritical teacher here, who talks about striking and getting more money, and he's got 125k sat in the bank.
What have I done to you to get
All
this
right,
ribbon
mate,
today?
see you later. Bye.
What, seriously?